The roots of our system of higher education governance stretch all the way back to the days before the American Revolution. In the 17th century, at colonial colleges such as Harvard, a decision was made to govern institutions not through a central ministry, but rather through boards made up of citizens. From the beginning, volunteerism has been central to our American system of higher education governance. This uniquely American approach came to be adopted across the nation's higher education landscape, and it helped give rise to the strongest higher education system the world has ever seen.
Almost 200 years ago, one of the most innovative thinkers in American history decided to design the ideal learning environment for young people. And the creation of that was really the creation of the University of Virginia. From the beginning, Jefferson's view was students should be in charge of students. Students learn while they're here that they are in fact in charge of their own lives and their own learning, that learning is a lifetime process. One of the things you learn is the importance of experimentation. As organizations get older and larger, they tend to quit doing that, and I think it is the most important way of learning for any organization is to not be afraid to try things.
This is a country in which the legitimacy of government and of the community depends upon all of us participating. And as a member of the Board of Trustees in this nation, you're participating in that experiment. And it's particularly true, I think, for those successful entrepreneurs and business folk to recognize the power that they have in shaping a democratic republic. Everybody has a responsibility in a democratic republic to ensure that the values are passed on to another generation.
Historically, black colleges and universities, HBCUs, have had a major influence on the development of America. HBCUs really provided the foundational preparation for teachers when African American students couldn't attend majority institutions. Now students can go to any university they choose, but they choose to come to Howard because of the special kind of education that prepares students to compete, to be self-confident, and to have a sense of purpose and giving back to their community. And I can't envision a successful Howard University without our Board of Trustees who are engaged and support us in our mission.
I see in the eyes of our students here at Trinity a sense of joy, a sense of accomplishment, a sense of real respect for each other, and a genuine sense of delight in the human community that we share here, and that gives me great satisfaction. I became Trinity's president at a time of great challenge for Trinity and actually for all women's colleges. So we had to figure out what the future held for this important institution. All of these changes that have come to Trinity were a result of the leadership of the board, the support for the initiatives that we took, faculty and administration together, to try to develop new programs that were more in keeping with the time. We created the Trinity Center for Women and Girls in Sports in the late 1990s. It was the board that supported this piece of our vision and made this campus come alive as a result. That's leadership of the board. That's the kind of decision that really helps an institution.
Our economy is driven to such a large extent by knowledge-based industries. They're always looking for the latest ideas, for workforce that have the most urgent and immediate skills, and so this has created, I think, a wonderful synergy between higher education and the private sector. As our universities take on this increased engagement with the private sector, it has placed, I think, a responsibility on board members to promote this activity, but to ensure that it's done in appropriate ways. For all the positive aspects of this engagement, there are risks, there are dangers.
The Association of Governing Boards was formally established in 1921. Presidents and boards and faculty had a need to collaborate and to address some of the fundamental challenges that were confronting a very changing academy across the country. The complexities of our institutions changed dramatically. We began to see a rather substantial change in the understanding of boards as to the nature of their job. No longer was it appropriate for board members or boards to see their job merely as an honorific engagement. The need for boards to get it right when it comes to how they carry out their responsibilities has become perhaps the most fundamental element of what a board does and how it does it.
AGB helps bring together information, data, analytics that can be useful to anybody on any governing board. It provides trustees with materials they can share with journalists, with legislators, and with citizens.
Trustees need to be cheerleaders for their institutions. They need to make clear to the public that our institutions of higher education are important, that America would not be America without them, and that story needs to be told over and over again.
As universities become more engaged with the private sector, I think there's a very important role for governing boards. They provide a very natural link between the private sector and the universities.
The great strength of American higher education lies in the diversity of the many different types of institutions, the many different types of programs we have, and the excellence with which we approach our work in teaching, learning, research, and scholarship. We need our trustees to be great advocates for the independence of all of higher education, whether public or private. We must remain an independent part of our society. And of course, our trustees must also always expect us to be as excellent today and in the future as we have been through all of the years of our history.
The American experience is really to bring out the values that everyone has within them. When one's working with a college or serving in a capacity such as a board of trustees, it's important to recognize that that's what you're doing. You're not just making the college work financially, you're also bringing out the values and the education and the leadership of every individual who's part of that institution.
Colleges and universities are laboratories where we can think and learn to work together collaboratively to reach common goals. You are part of that creative community. How will you, as a trustee, help harness the strengths of your institution to confront and answer the challenges that higher education faces today?
Service on a college or a university board is defined by a spirit of volunteerism. All of us and all of you who serve as board members should be quite proud. The men and women who have volunteered on boards are going to affect the very future not only of your institution and your students, but the future of this country.